Hi, it's Global Politics with Jim Martin. Today I wanted to talk about the fact that every CIA employee received the fork in the road letter, essentially offering them a buyout or termination. This is incredibly dangerous, and I realize that today a federal judge put a stay on these fork in the road types of activities. That said, the threat is real. So let's talk about it. The Central Intelligence Agency was created after World War II out of the Office of Strategic Services, which performed a lot of intelligence, commando type activities and such, spying during World War II, and was quite effective. Central Intelligence Agency is different than that, has some of those capabilities, but essentially was built to coordinate the activities of foreign intelligence operations all around the world. And obviously, since then, it's grown as government agencies do and has a variety of tasks and a tremendous amount of resources. CIA is tasked with foreign intelligence operations. It does not operate domestically, and it's been a critical but kind of unseen part of the national defense apparatus. Let's consider the times in our history in which CIA was dialed back a bit. So first thing to think about is the central reason for the creation of the CIA in the first place was that prior to World War II, there was no CIA, and you had intelligence shops, I would call them, or departments within the two branches of the military, the Army and the Navy, and then you had some functionality at state, and that's about it. The rest of it's sort of ad hoc. None of those institutions talk to the other, and in the lead up to World War II, a whole range of signals were missed, particularly with Japan. If you put all the dots together, remember that phrase, connecting the dots, they would have known that Japan intended to attack Pearl Harbor and to attack a whole range of islands and nations in the Pacific theater. They couldn't put that together. Everybody kind of knew something was going to happen, but they didn't know that that was going to happen. That's really a central kind of origin story for the CIA. The next time that the CIA was effectively constrained was from 1976 to 1980. After the Church Commission, Congress kind of really dialed back on CIA and put a number of guidelines in process, reduced budgets. A lot of people got forced retired. A lot of people were sent from active field operation status to desk jobs, that kind of thing. At that time, the CIA was run by Admiral Stansfield Turner, by all accounts, a very moral person, but a very dialed in military style, disciplined sort of guy. And sort of risk averse also, which is not surprising given his budgetary constraints. That's a period of time in which everyone became quite enamored with satellites and radio intercepts and these sorts of things. The human intelligence side of things was very dialed back. They really lost a lot of networks of people on the ground in various countries keeping an eye and an ear on things. What happens after that? Well, in 1979, 1980, you have the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan, and you have the Iranian Revolution, followed by the hostage crisis in Iran, in which dozens of Americans were taken hostage and held for over a year. Neither of those things were foreseen, predicted, and came as a complete surprise to the Carter administration. 1996 to 2000, this is post-Cold War time, so the wall has fallen, communism is over. Western countries are really dialing back their military budgets quite dramatically. There's the perception that, hey, we're entering into this new golden age of globalization and capitalism and democracy, and thus we don't need to have massive intelligence agencies and we don't need all of these things. And so budgets were cut, Clinton administration was way more concerned with domestic stuff. Those sorts of things just kind of fell by the wayside. And in the wake of that, again, the connecting the dots bit, you have an administration that is unaware of the dramatic nature of Al-Qaeda as a threat to American national security. Shortly into the Bush administration, 9/11 happens. So these are the three kind of principal historical times where CIA has been constrained or dialed back. This situation is entirely different. The potential is there to lay off almost all of the foreign intelligence agents, American citizens working overseas, and much of the staff within the CIA itself and its infrastructure. Will that happen? I don't know. That court decision is going to certainly delay their efforts. So now what you have is a CIA director who is a purely political operative. He has 1 year of experience, or well, less than that, of being the DNI, not the CIA director, never worked for CIA, never worked in the military, pure political animal, serving in the Trump administration. One of possibly the worst potential picks for CIA director in modern history. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. This idea of government efficiency and we can privatize all these things and all this kind of stuff kind of lies at the heart of this if you try to sort it all out. The consequences are easy to foresee. When you work in a place where your boss hates you and your boss's boss hates you, it's not a great place to work. The incompetence of these decisions and the kinds of chaos that is surrounding the Trump administration, even just 2 weeks in, it's going to be a difficult place to be. Some people, I'm sure, will stick it out. If you don't walk away from your job and take the buyout, then you have to go through a loyalty test. If you want to know more about what's coming up, just look in Project 2025. It's all starting to spool out in front of us just as we speak. That's, of course, going to result in more terminations and this sort of thing. And who are you going to replace these people with? CIA is full of very educated analysts, scientists, technical people, engineers, computer folks, all sorts of people with tremendous amounts of skill sets and subject matter expertise, language skills, and all of this sort of thing. You cut the heart and the brain out of the CIA at the same time. Satellites aren't going to cut it. You're losing your eyes and your ears and your brain all over the world from an organization that is solely tasked with protecting the national security interests of the United States. This is extremely dangerous, incredibly incompetent. I can't imagine a worse outcome for the people who work for CIA. I've had several friends, close family friends over the years who have worked for CIA. To them, it's a very collegial place, a very nonpartisan place, and a workplace in which everyone there is focused on the task of protecting the national security of the United States. To damage that is incredibly dangerous and incredibly incompetent. I hope I'm wrong. I welcome your context in the comments. I look forward to talking to you on the next one. Thanks a lot. Bye.